Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up. This is the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life that feels good. Because after all, that's what we want. We want to feel good. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson. Today on the show, we're talking to Mr. Russ McClellan, who owns and operates Keller Williams here in Wenatchee. It's currently the largest and fastest growing real estate company in the area. And in a shifting market, we want to hear from an expert about what's happening. Is it time to buy? Time to sell? Is it a good time to get into the industry? Is it time to get your license and get out there and join that force? Russ is a good friend of mine with a heart of gold and is committed to helping individuals create a feel-good life using real estate as the vehicle. He's a visionary with a ton of expertise and wisdom. So join us for the conversation. But before we get to that, I want to remind you that if you have questions you would like us to answer on or off the air, email those directly to me at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com. I also want to invite you to visit me at my website, which is my name, fletcherellingson.com, and I have all sorts of free resources there. Take the happiness survey, or download the ultimate success formula, or get my free video course called Your Life Is Now. You don't need to suffer and try to figure everything out on your own. As I frequently say on this show, asking for help or assistance or advice, that's a sign of strength. So reach out, because there are answers and solutions and ways to get unstuck and move forward powerfully. And that's what we want. We want to move forward. We want to make progress. Why? Because progress in any area of life feels good. Hey, we usually take time to provide some advice to an email question during this section of the show, but we're going to skip that today so we can spend more time with Russ. So stay with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. So glad you're here, so glad you're in this conversation, because as you know, I think this is a pretty important conversation. We're talking about personal evolution. We're talking about the journey. And today we're talking about the journey with Mr. Russ McClellan. Thanks for being here, Russ.
How you doing, bud?
Yeah, doing well.
Thank you for the invite.
I always enjoy sitting down with you, because you always got, there's always good stuff happening, always big stuff happening, always interesting stuff happening. But first we got to start out with a win. What's a win, or where are you noticing life working out for you?
Well, it's an interesting question, and we don't often ask that of ourselves enough, right? We tend to plow the road. We talk about that a lot in our coaching sessions. So when I reflect on something like that, it's very important to really think about it. And I break it down into two parts: my personal life, my business life. They're intertwined, because I enjoy what I do and I love what I do and I'm lucky. But on my personal life, I got married at the end of April. Mm-hmm. I'm still married. That's good. That's a win. That's a win. No, I'm having a great time. I'm married to a beautiful person, Audie, and I just feel grateful. I also feel fortunate to have gone through a lot of adversity. So in reflection of adversity, my parents both passed away in the last couple of years. We had a world pandemic. You might have heard about it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun. Launched a franchise 4 years ago, and now we're at almost 90 agents. So when I say adversity, it's like overcoming all this personal stuff, like death of a loved one, and still grinding and looking back and appreciating that. Not the fact that obviously my parents passed away, but they lived a great life, and I was lucky enough to be with them. So that's working out. Just that feeling, mm-hmm. That isn't as big a loss as it would have been if I hadn't made those daily decisions to spend time with them and enjoy life with them as I did, and I was very lucky. And I have two amazing grandsons, a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old.
Right.
Have you ever watched 4-year-old soccer?
Oh man, that's a crack up.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter's funny, 'cause she's a pretty good athlete, and she goes, Dad, he's not the MVP yet. And I go, what do you mean? How is there an MVP? They're 4. And she goes, well, some kids kick the ball through the 2 cones. Your grandson grabs the cone, puts it on his head, and runs around, wants to hug everybody. So I said I wouldn't worry about it.
I love it.
That's good. And in business, what I love about a shifting market and the shifting economic conditions, I love the win is to watch the people that step into change with confidence. And my heart just gets full when I'm watching somebody that not that long ago wasn't even in real estate. And now they're embracing change and embracing adversity, embracing challenges, and not looking at it like a threat or something evil or something that's so stressful they can't handle it. The stress is part of the job.
Yeah. Right.
If there wasn't stress, we wouldn't have an industry.
Right. It's all that adversity that tempers us, right? It makes us stronger.
Exactly.
When we're in the middle of it, we don't want it necessarily. We may not feel good, but it is building us, making us stronger, wiser, more experienced. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and that's the win, right? When you're training people, and you said it in your intro. My mission statement is to change lives to the life people want and the life they deserve, using real estate as the vehicle to do it. That's how we grow.
Yeah.
It's coming from a place of grace, generosity, forgiveness, and education and training. All of this stuff is part of it. But
I'm going to pause right there, because if people are just tuning in and they just heard that last couple of sentences, they might think, what's this guy talking about? Wait, he's talking about real estate, forgiveness, growing? Yep, that's what we're talking about. Like, we're integrating all life's opportunities into a career, right?
Yeah, in a rocket-fueled environment where interest rates are unprecedented lows. I mean, let's think about this. 2.5 years ago, the average price of Wenatchee was around $300,000. The average interest rate was less than 3%. That means a lot of people qualify to buy a house, right?
Yep.
Makes it pretty easy as a real estate agent. In a shift, what happens is if you get comfortable in something, anything, now the average price is pushing $500,000 and the interest rates are 6.5% and climbing. Now that creates challenges, right? But it also creates opportunities. Sellers become more flexible. Inspections are back in the game.
Yeah.
And then when you watch somebody work through these problems, and you realize that your goal isn't about how many houses you can sell. Your goal is about how many people you can help.
Yeah.
And then they are emotional. Agents are emotional. Human beings are human beings.
Yes.
So learning how to capture that emotion and massage it a little bit and not get so offended we walk away. Not get so polarized that you and I disagree on one topic, ideology or whatever. Now I hate you. And we don't have any more conversations. That's sadly what happens, more and more these days, and there's a lot of reasons for that, I think. But what we try to do is realize, look, we're human. Let's humanize this emotion. Every lead is a person. Every lead is a person that has a story.
Love that.
That has desires and goals, and so it's not just, if you look at it, it's not just a number. It's not, oh, that lead sucks.
Right.
No, that's a person.
Right.
They may not be ready right now. They might send you a lead that says Mickey Mouse at MickeyMouse.com. Come in off the, and you're like, oh, that jerk. No, maybe they're just shy.
Right.
So starting to see the positives in a shift, you can really step up and be an ambassador of peace and forgiveness and grace and generosity, and I believe that is contagious.
I love that. Yeah, be an ambassador for those characteristics and ways of being. That's powerful.
As your business plan.
Yes, as your business plan. So what we're talking about is revolutionary, right? What we're talking about is not just going out and chasing the dollar. What we're talking about is how can we make a difference, an impact, using our existing career. And I don't care what your career is. I don't care if you're out mowing lawns or doing whatever you are. How can I be a blessing to someone else? How can I make someone else's burden a little bit lighter? How can I be a beacon of positivity? That's an incredible intention to bring to your career.
Yeah, and you hit the word, intention. Intention and purposeful thinking. If you have none, then you're on autopilot. And your autopilot typically will keep you away from resistance and adversity. Keeps you into the land of comfort. The problem is happiness is on the other side of adversity. Like, there's no Eden, right? It's just not. So when you look at resistance or you look at a challenge, whether it's personal or in business, what I like to coach about is that's the gift. And then you have the opportunity to learn how to navigate the resistance and the adversity. So on the other side of that is happiness.
Right. You've probably heard that saying, the obstacle is the path. right?
Yeah.
The obstacle is the path. What? I got to go towards the obstacle? Exactly, because you're going to overcome that eventually, and on the other side, there's going to be growth, right? And there's growth happening as you pursue that obstacle. And then you get to the other side of the obstacle, and you're like, this feels great. And then you look down the road and like, oh my God, is that another obstacle? Yep. And we rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah, and embracing that concept of persistence.
Mm-hmm.
There's this theory that comes with a fantastic time where rates are 3%, everything's good, and everything seems okay, but sometimes you get caught in that trap of comfortability and you're losing so slowly you think you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day you wake up and you find yourself unprepared for a new world and perfectly prepared for a world that no longer exists.
Mm-hmm.
And that's adaptation, right? That's the ability to course correct in your life, in your business, and not get that story. You talk about it a lot, that story we tell ourselves. Your brain doesn't know the difference.
Right.
It's just a computer.
Yes.
And it's going to go on what you feed it as a human.
Mm-hmm.
Call it whatever you want, your soul, your existence, whatever. But your brain's just an organ, right? You talk about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so facing that and looking at it like, look, I'm worthy. I'm a good person. I can accomplish anything I want to. Now, I can't accomplish everything I want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other part of it is like it's real easy in today's world to go squirrel, 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 squirrel. And, believe me, people like me that do that very well,
Yeah.
I'm addicted. I'm a squirrel on steroids. The problem with that, or a squirrel hunter on steroids, it doesn't work. So that's the hardest part, right? Like get focused, be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like? And focus on those steps.
Yes.
Those little tiny steps.
Yes.
And just begin.
Yeah, and those steps are frequently the fundamentals. Go back to the fundamentals.
Amen.
Right?
Exactly.
We can't be trying to skip steps. Practice the fundamentals. The masters of in our world, in athletics, in acting, in politics, the people who are playing the game of mastery, they always practice fundamentals. Tiger Woods never thinks like, I guess I don't need that fundamental anymore. No, it's like practice the fundamentals over and over and over again. Practice that stroke, right? There's a reason why the people at the top of their game put such emphasis on that. Hey, we got to go to a commercial break, but stick around. This is a great conversation. We'll be back in just a minute. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. So glad you're here. We're talking today with Mr. Russ McClellan from Keller Williams here in Wenatchee, fastest growing and largest real estate company in the area. And he was just at a retreat. You were at a retreat down in Phoenix, and you had the pleasure of listening to Michael Phelps.
Yeah, Michael Phelps, Brendan Burchard, Brian Gubernick. These are all incredible people, but Michael Phelps is a unique cat. 39 world records. Been a professional athlete since he was 15.
Wow.
He's retired now. But you might be surprised at what I took away from it. I don't know if anybody or everybody knows Michael Phelps, but he's one of the greatest athlete in Olympics in history. But what I took away from it is he was a human. Now, he was a human because he had emotions and feelings and depression, and to the degree that he'd be suicidal at one time. He got his second DWI, and he told me that, he told the whole crowd, there's a lot of us there. It was lucky he had only 3 Ambien left.
Wow.
Because he probably would have taken the whole bottle. He was so depressed. And so all of a sudden he had to go through adversity and face the music, like realize, why am I all these things?
Mm-hmm.
But why do I feel not that good?
Mm-hmm.
And so success and happiness, they're not always the same.
They are not.
And so determining what happiness is was something that he had evolved through. So he was a very real person. He has a whole fleet of critics when you do silly things like get in trouble or not follow through or whatever. But the realization is this guy has 39 world records.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought there were some things that I took away from it.
Yeah, sure.
He said, I never focused on winning gold medals. Like, that seems silly, like you're an Olympian, right? You would think gold medals is what the game is. He said, I focused on breaking world records. The gold medals just came along with it. And he won or broke a world record, I believe, with 1/100th of a second.
Wow.
They spent hours. He didn't take a day off for 6 years. He won the Olympics, broke world records, and practiced the next day. Like, you talk about discipline. And now he doesn't get in a pool. He's retired. He has 2 children. He loves them. He's a father. He's learning about life in a different way. But the same discipline, to answer the phone when your kid calls, no matter what. Things like that he shared that I thought were very powerful. He's had a coach. His dad left him when he was 7 years old, and his coach became that. Bob Bauman is his name, became that father figure, and his agent also. But it was really interesting how he just focused on one little thing, like my pinky in the pool. Where's my pinky?
Wow.
And my strokes. Because that 1/100th of resistance, mastering, counting strokes. He said he won one of the gold medals. He dove into the pool. His goggles filled up with water, and he was blind the whole race.
Oh, man.
But they say repetition is the mother of all skill.
Yeah.
He counted the strokes, and he just had done it so much he didn't need to see. And he won, I don't know if he won a world record that time, he might have, but he won the gold medal.
Wow.
Blind.
Incredible.
So, he's a mutant. Tiger Woods is a mutant. Michael Jordan was a mutant, so on. But if you think about the process and not the end game, that's the message, right? Anybody can do anything they want. They just can't do everything they want. So what do you want? And that's the other thing. Take time to step back. Take time. Because you can't, it doesn't let you just have it. You have to take it.
Yep.
It's the one commodity that, the rule of 168, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's 168. We all have the same amount of time. So why is it that some people can do so much more and achieve so much more than others, especially if it's not about jumping 5 feet off the ground or running a 4 flat 40 or something.
Yeah. It's
about the discipline and purposeful intention. But in order to do that, you have to have those big whys. Why am I doing it? What's really driving me? What's going to make me do something when I don't feel like it?
Yes.
And he talked a lot about that. Some days my mind was not into it. I had to do it anyway. Some days my body was not into it. I had to do it anyway. And that's the discipline. But in order to do that, we often forget to take a step back and reevaluate. Because you're not the same person you were yesterday, 6 months ago, a year ago.
For sure.
20 years ago, right? So often in life, I think we judge people based on what we hear versus reality. So, I know him. No, you know of him or her. You don't know them. You might have heard about something they did 15, 20 years ago. 5 years ago. We're all human. Michael Phelps is human. And that's the exciting part. Then he takes his passion, and what I really loved is he's as passionate about putting pools in all the boys and girls clubs in America, because there's 5,000 of them, and they don't all have pools. Well, his foundation is about that.
Nice.
And so his foundation is about mental health. And I'll tell you something that was very powerful. The guy that put on the show is a very well-known realtor, Ben Kenny, who put on this seminar. He's a Keller Williams broker. He also owns Place, which is an amazing company that got $1 billion valuation last year, got $100 million investment from Goldman Sachs. This was a team inside of Keller Williams.
Yeah.
He was homeless not that long ago, 20 years ago. So you think about it, and he said, everybody raise your hand. So everybody raised their hand. He said, turn your flashlights on. And so there's 1,000 people out there. Now, everybody that has not been suicidal or has not been depressed at one time in their life, put your phones down. Not very many people put their phones down. All these people, 1,000 people, the vast majority of them admitted in that moment that they have had tough times mentally. And that's what was, even Michael Phelps was whoa, we all go through these things. And one of the things that I was really taken aback a little bit, and it makes perfect sense, is authenticity is the key. Being honest with other people, being honest with yourself about, if you're feeling down, man, raise your hand. Get some help. And it's, we have this stigma, especially with men. that maybe of my generation or older, maybe it's everybody, but we don't want to raise our hand.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to ask for help.
Yep.
And understanding that mindset and skill set are equally as important.
Mm-hmm.
I would say mindset's more important, but mindset comes first, then the skill set, because without the mindset, without looking things with the right angle, that story is going to derail you.
Yes.
And that's what happens,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
those kind of seminars, when you realize that you're in the best of the best in an industry, and everybody at the end of the day has a human condition.
Yep. Yeah. We're not that different from each other.
No, we're not.
You know, when you were sharing that story about the flashlights, people holding the flashlights. Yeah. I mean, when I was young and well into my early adulthood, oh man, asking for help, owning my own story about being upset, depressed, afraid. Whew, the pressure of holding that in and not being able to just say it out loud can be crushing at times.
Breathing through a wet blanket.
Yeah, exactly, right? So what a great message for not only men but everybody. But yeah, I think you're accurate. Men definitely struggle with that because I know growing up, no, gotta look macho, gotta look tough. Do not show weakness.
Yeah, and it's quite the opposite. Authenticity and vulnerability are sexy,
Yeah.
and it's powerful.
Yep, that's what my wife always tells me.
Do the dishes is what I thought you said. That's what mine tells me. I've done more dishes since April than I can. I love being married. It's awesome. It keeps me in line.
Good. Well, it sounds like you took away some powerful messages and did that. Well, we only have a minute left, so I can't ask you the question I wanted to, but I assume this has been impacting your life, yes?
Yeah, and it becomes down to how do I train and help people to achieve my mission statement? And that is, you have to decide what you want.
Yeah.
And if you want something, then we can help you get it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to decide that you have the mindset and discipline to do it, and it's not instant gratification. And this concept of I deserve, that entitlement mentality, that doesn't work in a shift. It doesn't work in a recession. But there's opportunities all around us because separating yourself from the herd to become the best of something is that much.
Yes.
To get this much more power.
Exactly. And I'm going to say something about decision. I only got a few seconds, but I want people to hear this. Decide to be open. Decide to be open to the opportunities that are all around us because they are abundant. But make the decision to be open to the possibilities. Russ, thanks so much for being on the show. How can they reach you if they want to talk to you about real estate or joining your team?
519-888-0038 is our office number. You can email me direct at russ@frontlinechelan.com. I'm easy to find.
All right, good. All right, it's time to get out there. Be a source of kindness. Be a source of contribution. You do have something to offer this world, and I believe in you.